Good day, everyone. I am Associate Professor Che Wei Lin from the Department of Biomedical Engineering at National Cheng Kung University. Today, I will be presenting our research on development of iOS-based augmented reality mirror therapy software for upper limb rehabilitation in stroke-induced hemiparesis. This research was conducted at the Medical Device Innovation Center, MDIC, of National Cheng Kung University. Our research team has been working on developing an innovative rehabilitation system that combines mobile devices, augmented reality technology, and traditional mirror therapy methods. We aim to provide a more effective and convenient rehabilitation solution for stroke patients. Our work focuses on creating a novel approach to upper limb rehabilitation for patients suffering from stroke-induced hemiparesis. By leveraging iOS technology and augmented reality, we've developed a software solution that could potentially transform how we approach stroke rehabilitation. In the following presentation, I will detail the background of our development, technical specifications, clinical trial results, and potential future applications. Let's begin with the key highlights of our research. Let me begin by highlighting the key aspects of our research. First and foremost, our study investigates an improved rehabilitation solution for stroke patients. We specifically focused on three critical factors: cost, convenience, and quality. These factors were chosen to address the current challenges in stroke rehabilitation. Secondly, we have developed an augmented reality mirror therapy software that runs on iPhones. The core of our technology utilizes an efficient hand segmentation algorithm. Our system architecture consists of three main components: a rear camera, a human body segmentation neural network, and a renderer with hardware acceleration support. One of our significant technical achievements is the improvement in performance. We've managed to increase the frames processed per second from 30 to a maximum of 60 FPS, which provides a much smoother user experience. Additionally, we've incorporated cardboard illustration support, which delivers a VR-like immersive experience. This feature enhances the engagement and effectiveness of the rehabilitation process. These highlights demonstrate our commitment to creating a practical, accessible, and effective rehabilitation tool for stroke patients. Let me now move on to discuss each of these aspects in more detail. Now, let me share some exciting results from our clinical trials and research findings. We conducted clinical trials with 30 healthy participants to evaluate the efficacy potential of our software. Our primary goal was to address the unmet needs in telerehabilitation services. The results were quite promising. When comparing pre- and post-test outcome measurements, our augmented reality mirror therapy showed superior performance compared to traditional mirror therapy. Specifically, we found significant improvements in 10 out of 12 indicators, with p-values less than 0.05, indicating statistical significance. Furthermore, we observed fascinating neurological responses. The correlation coefficients of temporal blood flow changes between the left and right brain regions of the prefrontal cortex were remarkably high, above 0.9 for both intervention methods. This suggests consistent neural engagement during the therapy sessions. Most importantly, our augmented reality mirror therapy demonstrated meaningful improvements in several key areas: finger pinch coordination, finger dexterity, gross movement of upper limbs, and a reduction in the 2-point distance threshold. These results strongly suggest that our solution could be a viable and effective option for stroke rehabilitation. Let's now delve deeper into the background of stroke rehabilitation. Let me now provide some context about stroke and its global impact on rehabilitation needs. According to the World Stroke Organization's Global Stroke Fact Sheet 2022, we're facing a significant global health challenge. The statistics are quite sobering. There are over 12.2 million new stroke cases each year worldwide. This translates to one stroke occurring every 3 seconds. Even more concerning is that 1 in 4 people over the age of 25 will experience a stroke in their lifetime. The good news, however, is that modern medical advances have significantly improved survival rates. Research shows that more than 80% of patients now survive after suffering from stroke. This increased survival rate, while definitely positive, also means we have a growing number of individuals who require rehabilitation services. Post-stroke rehabilitation plays a crucial role in recovery. It helps patients relearn the skills they lost due to brain damage caused by the stroke. This rehabilitation process is essential because it enables patients to regain their independence and improve their quality of life. The infographics shown here illustrate several key points: the significant increase in stroke cases over the past decades, the growing prevalence among younger populations, the fact that stroke is no longer exclusively a disease of the elderly. These statistics underscore the urgent need for accessible and effective rehabilitation solutions, which is precisely what our research aims to address. Now, let's examine the recommended treatments for upper extremity rehabilitation based on the Canadian Stroke Best Practice Recommendations published in the International Journal of Stroke in 2016. These treatments are evaluated based on their evidence levels, where A represents the highest level of evidence, followed by B, and then C. The timing of intervention is also crucial, with treatments categorized as either early or late, using 6 months after stroke onset as the dividing line. Let me walk you through the various treatment methods and their evidence levels. On the left side of the table, range of movement, ROM, shows a CC evidence level for both early and late intervention. Constraint-induced movement therapy, CIMT, demonstrates strong evidence with AA. Functional electrical stimulation, FES, also shows high efficacy with AA. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, has mixed evidence with AB. On the right side, mirror therapy, MOUNT, which is highlighted here, shows robust evidence with AA ratings. Mental imagery demonstrates varying effectiveness with AB. Virtual reality, VR, also highlighted, shows strong evidence with AA. Strength training maintains consistent efficacy with AA. Of particular interest to our research are the high evidence levels for both mirror therapy and virtual reality, as our work combines elements of both approaches. This scientific backing supports our direction in developing an augmented reality solution that incorporates these proven methodologies. Let me guide you through the key literature that has shaped our research direction. The timeline shown here illustrates the evolution of various rehabilitation approaches leading to our current ARMT mobile phone solution. Starting with mirror therapy, pioneering work was done by Ramachandran and colleagues in 1995, followed by Hallett's team in 2001. These foundational studies established the effectiveness of traditional mirror therapy. Moving to virtual reality mirror therapy, significant contributions were made by Laver's team in 2015, followed by Mike Laws et al. In 2020. Our own team, led by Lynn, contributed to this field in 2022, building upon these earlier works. In parallel, we see the development of immersive rehabilitation via mobile phone, with notable work by Zerbel et al. In 2018, Roth Gangel's team in 2019, and La Piana et al. In 2020. This branch of research focused on making rehabilitation more accessible through mobile technology. The telerehabilitation pathway has been explored by White et al. In 2012, Cottrell's team in 2017, and more recently by Roran et al. In 2023, demonstrating the growing importance of remote rehabilitation solutions. Supporting all these developments, quantitative analysis methods have been advanced by Ferrari et al. In 2012, Minard's team in 2013, and Kim et al. In 2022, providing scientific validation for these approaches. All these research streams have converged to inform our current work on ARMT for mobile phones, combining the best elements of each approach while addressing their individual limitations. Let me now introduce mirror therapy, or MOUNT, which forms the foundation of our research. This rehabilitation method, first documented by Ramachandran in Nature in 1995, uses a simple but effective principle: a mirror creates a reflective illusion of an affected limb. Looking at the image on the right, you can see how the setup works for stroke hemiplegia patients. The mirror is positioned between the affected and healthy sides, with the patient viewing the reflection of their healthy limb while performing exercises. The method has demonstrated several significant advantages. It encourages daily use of the affected upper limb. It has shown effectiveness in reducing phantom upper limb pain. It helps improve grip strength. And it enhances overall function of the upper limbs. However, traditional mirror therapy does have some notable disadvantages. First, it's limited by the size of the mirror box, which constrains the range of possible movements. Second, it doesn't provide a sufficiently realistic environment for practice. These limitations, particularly the confined space and lack of environmental engagement, are what motivated us to explore augmented reality solutions. By understanding both the strengths and weaknesses of traditional mirror therapy, we can better appreciate how modern technology might enhance this proven therapeutic approach. Moving forward, let me introduce virtual reality mirror therapy, or VRMT, which represents an evolution in mirror therapy techniques. Our research in this area has been published in both Neurorehabilitation and Neural Repair in 2022 and IEEE Access in 2021. The key advantages of VRMT address the main limitations we discuss with traditional mirror therapy. Specifically, VRMT offers two significant improvements. First, it's not limited by the physical constraints of a mirror box. Second, it provides a truly immersive environment for rehabilitation. As you can see in these images, VRMT utilizes computer-generated environments and VR technology to create a more engaging therapeutic experience. On the left, you can observe a patient interacting with virtual hands displayed on the screen. On the right, we see a setup using VR headsets, which provides an even more immersive experience. Our research has demonstrated that this approach can be particularly effective for improving sensory motor function of hands in chronic stroke patients. The virtual environment allows for more varied and complex exercises while maintaining the core principles of mirror therapy. These studies, particularly our randomized controlled trials, have helped establish the efficacy of VRMT as a viable rehabilitation tool. However, this led us to consider how we could make this technology more accessible and practical for everyday use. Let me now present a systematic review of immersion therapy studies, which collectively demonstrate strong evidence for the effectiveness of this approach in restoring upper extremity motor function. Let's examine several key studies in chronological order. Starting with Ogun and colleagues in 2019, they conducted a 6-week study with 65 patients, notably the largest sample size in this review. Their results showed improvements in both upper limb function and self-care skills. Lee et al. In 2020 conducted a 4-week study with 12 patients, demonstrating improvements in upper limb function and, importantly, activities of daily living. Huang's team, also in 2020, extended their study to 8 weeks with 18 patients, focusing specifically on upper limb function improvement. Mekbub and colleagues conducted a shorter 2-week intervention with 12 patients, showing positive results in motor function despite the briefer duration. And finally, I'd like to highlight our previous research, Xu et al. 2022, which represents one of the most comprehensive studies in this field. We conducted a 12-week trial with 43 patients, focusing on upper limb motor function. This research was particularly significant as it formed the foundation for our current work in ARMT. This systematic review, published by Marek K. et al. In 2022, clearly demonstrates that immersion therapy, regardless of duration or sample size. Now, let's examine one of the key challenges in implementing VR-based rehabilitation, the cost and accessibility of equipment. Let me break down the current market options. Starting with the Oculus Quest 2, priced between $430 to $500. While this is one of the more affordable options, it still requires significant computing power, specifically an Intel Core i5-4590 and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970 graphics card. Moving up the price range, we have the Meta Quest Pro, which costs between $1,000 to $1,500. Although it doesn't require additional computing hardware, the price point alone makes it less accessible for many patients. The Vive Cosmos, ranging from $560 to $850, has similar hardware requirements to the Oculus Quest 2, needing an Intel Core i5-4590 and GTX 970. At the higher end, the Vive Pro series, priced between $620 and $1,400, requires an Intel Core i5-4590 and a slightly better GTX 1060 graphics card. Two critical points to consider here. As of 2021, the household penetration rate for VR equipment was only 2.4%, indicating very limited accessibility. These solutions all suffer from lower portability compared to traditional mirror therapy. These statistics highlight why we need to explore more accessible and affordable solutions for rehabilitation therapy. Let me elaborate on the 3 major limitations we've identified in using virtual reality for rehabilitation practice. First, let's discuss equipment cost. A complete VR system costs between $1,500 to $2,000. Due to this high cost, we see a very low penetration rate of VR systems in homes. As a result, only hospitals can typically afford to provide this type of therapy. Second, there's the issue of equipment volume. VR systems require plenty of accessory devices. They need a PC or laptop to assist with calculations. All this equipment makes it inconvenient to carry around, limiting mobility and accessibility. Third, we have concerns regarding the perception of reality. VR systems completely block the real environment. They require a wide and safety range of area for use. This makes them only suitable for safe and spacious environments. These limitations highlight why traditional VR solutions, despite their therapeutic potential, may not be the most practical solution for widespread rehabilitation use. These challenges have motivated us to explore alternative approaches that maintain the benefits of immersive therapy while addressing these practical limitations. Let me now discuss an early attempt at mobile-based rehabilitation, developed by Zerbel and colleagues in 2018, which they called the Rehab system. This system consists of three main components: a smartphone, a cardboard VR headset, and an EMG/EMU sensor armband. The armband is designed to provide hand position information to the smartphone. However, it has a significant limitation. It only supports recognition of 5 types of hand gestures, which considerably restricts the range of therapeutic exercises possible. As you can see in the images, while the system does create an immersive environment with virtual hand visualization, there's a crucial caveat: no clinical trials have been conducted to test its effectiveness so far. This lack of clinical validation is a significant gap in understanding the system's therapeutic value. This research, presented at GHTC 2018, was specifically aimed at medically underserved populations, attempting to create a low-cost mobile virtual reality system for post-stroke upper limb rehabilitation. While this approach shows promise in terms of accessibility and cost-effectiveness, its limited gesture recognition capabilities and lack of clinical validation highlight the need for more comprehensive solutions. Now, let me introduce another approach to mobile-based rehabilitation, presented in a case study by LaPiana and colleagues in 2020, published in JMR. This system consists of 3 key components: a smartphone, a cardboard VR headset, and an AR tag anchor for positioning. The system uses a handlebar equipped with AR tag markers for hand positioning and leverages the Unity game engine to provide augmented reality games for patients. As you can see in the images, the setup includes a split-screen VR display for the smartphone, the handlebar with AR tag markers, VR positioning system, the overall setup in a clinical environment. While this approach is innovative in its use of our technology and gaming elements for rehabilitation, it shares a critical limitation with the previous system we discussed: there have been no clinical trials conducted to test its effectiveness so far. This represents another example of how researchers are attempting to make rehabilitation more accessible through mobile technology, but also highlights the ongoing need for clinical validation in this field. Now, let me introduce our solution: Augmented Reality Mirror Therapy, or ARMT. Let me explain the core philosophy and implementation of our approach. Our philosophy centers on 2 key principles. First, we segment the hand contour and frame and render it to the mirror side of the screen. Second, and crucially, we directly use the patient's own mobile phone screen as a display device. Let me walk you through our technical workflow, as shown in the diagram. We start by capturing data frames from the iPhone camera. This data is then processed through 2 parallel paths: one using Core ML to generate a hand mask, another using ARKit to render the AR scene. These elements are then combined through our mirroring process. Finally, we present the result in the preview display. As you can see in the images, the top right shows a user wearing a VR headset for an immersive experience. The bottom right demonstrates our system's ability to create what appears to be a fake hand. This is actually the mirrored rendering of the real hand. This approach represents a significant advancement over previous mobile-based solutions, offering more precise hand tracking and realistic visualization while maintaining accessibility through the use of the patient's own device. Let me now discuss the material requirements for our ARMT system. While the composition of ARMT is simple and extremely light, there are some important considerations and limitations to note. For the primary device, we have the following specifications. The system currently only supports iOS 15 or higher. We recommend using an iPhone 11 for optimal performance. The cost ranges from $280 to $420, which offers a significantly higher penetration rate compared to traditional VR systems. For the immersive experience component, we utilize a simple cardboard VR viewer. This costs between $3 to $20. This setup offers several advantages over traditional VR systems. The total cost is substantially lower, making it more accessible to patients. The equipment is lightweight and portable. Most patients can use their existing iPhone if it meets the minimum requirements. The addition of an inexpensive cardboard viewer provides a satisfactory immersive experience. While there are some limitations, particularly in terms of iOS version requirements, the overall system remains considerably more accessible and practical than full VR solutions we discussed earlier. Let me walk you through our iterative development process, which evolved through 3 distinct versions, each building upon the lessons learned from the previous one. Version 1 represented our initial approach, focusing on 2 main aspects. We implemented rendered hand joints tracking. We developed 3D reconstruction capabilities. As you can see in the leftmost image, this version tracked key points of hand movement, though the visualization was quite basic. Version 2 marked a significant advancement in visual quality. We introduced hand segmentation technology. We developed realistic skin texture rendering. The middle image demonstrates how this version achieved a more natural and realistic hand representation. Finally, version 3 represents our current iteration, which prioritizes user experience and performance. We added cardboard support for improved immersion. We significantly enhanced the overall performance of the system. The rightmost image shows the split-screen view optimized for VR viewing through the cardboard device. Each version represented a significant step forward in our development process, with improvements in both functionality and user experience. This iterative approach allowed us to gradually refine our solution while maintaining our core goal of accessible and effective rehabilitation. Let me detail our first version of the ARMT system, which we call the skeleton approach. This initial version focused on 2 primary technical elements. First, rendered hand joints, which you can see represented by the red dots in the top image. These points track the key articulation points of the hand in real time. Second, 3D reconstruction capability, which you can observe in the bottom images showing different perspective views of the environment. The system worked by detecting and tracking key points on the hand, mapping these points in 3-dimensional space, creating a basic skeletal representation of hand movement, generating a depth map of the environment for spatial awareness. As you can see from the images, while this approach successfully tracked hand movements and provided spatial understanding, the visualization was quite basic. The red dots represent the joint positions, but the system lacked the natural appearance of a real hand. This version laid the groundwork for our subsequent development, though we recognized the need for more realistic visualization to enhance the therapeutic experience. Let me explain the technical foundations of our first version in more detail. Our initial approach leveraged 2 key technological developments. The Vision framework, which was released by Apple in 2017. The hand joints detection solution, which became available in iOS 14. This version utilized 2 main technical components. Rendered hand joints tracking. As shown in the top right image, this could identify and track multiple points on the hand. The system could detect individual finger joints and their positions in real time. 3D reconstruction. We implemented this using a dual lens device system. This allowed us to obtain a schematic representation of object distances. As shown in the bottom diagrams, the system uses the formula z equals fb/vertical bar xx apostrophe vertical bar to calculate depth. The graph illustrates how depth perception accuracy varies with distance. The depth calculation relies on stereo vision principles, baseline distance between cameras, focal length calculations, triangulation methods. While this approach provided accurate spatial tracking, we recognized that the skeletal representation, though technically precise, wasn't sufficiently intuitive for rehabilitation purposes. This realization led to our next development phase. Let me walk you through the system architecture of our version 1 implementation. The system operates through 2 primary threads working in parallel. In the async thread, the Vision framework processes input using ML hand joints detector. This generates 2D hand joints data, which is then converted to 3D hand joints results. Meanwhile, the main thread handles camera operations. The dual camera setup captures both wide-angle and telephoto images. Of capture photo output processes these images. This generates a depth map and maintains the capture session. These components integrate through a depth mapping process, a rendering pipeline, and a UView controller for display. The system's pipeline flows from camera input joint detection depth calculation rendering display. What makes this architecture unique is its asynchronous processing approach, allowing for real-time hand tracking while maintaining system responsiveness. The separation of concerns between vision processing and camera handling ensures efficient resource utilization. This architectural foundation, though basic in its visual output, provided crucial insights for our subsequent iterations. Moving to version 2, we made a significant shift towards a hand contour approach, focusing on creating a more natural and visually appealing experience. Key to this advancement was our utilization of the Ego Hands dataset, which is specifically designed for analyzing hands in complex egocentric interactions. This dataset proved invaluable for training our system to handle real-world hand movements and positions. Our major improvements centered on two aspects: advanced hand segmentation capabilities. As shown in the bottom images, we achieved precise hand isolation. The system could differentiate the hand from various backgrounds. Generated clean, accurate hand masks. Implementation of realistic skin texture. Notice the natural appearance in the top left image. The system maintains visual fidelity during movement. Dramatically improved the visual quality compared to version 1 skeletal approach. The bottom comparison images demonstrate our segmentation quality. Left, original hand image with tracking overlay. Right, the resulting clean segmentation mask. This version marked a crucial step toward making the therapy experience more engaging and natural for patients. Looking deeper into version 2's technical implementation, we made some sophisticated architectural choices to enhance our hand contour approach. The foundation of our improved system rests on a modified UNet architecture with a mobile Net2 backbone. This design choice was informed by two significant papers. Ronneberger's work on UNet convolutional networks from MICI 2015. Howard's research on mobile Net2 published by IEEE in 2018. Our modified architecture brings several innovations. We replaced traditional CNN layers with mobile Net2 components. Implemented a semantic segmentation model for precise hand detection. Optimized the network for mobile device performance. The network structure, as shown in the diagram, features skip connections for preserving spatial information. Incorporates downsampling and upsampling paths. Maintains high-resolution features while keeping computational efficiency. The Ego Hands dataset proved crucial for training this architecture, providing real-world hand interactions, complex egocentric perspectives, diverse hand positions and gestures. This combination of advanced architecture and comprehensive training data enabled us to achieve both accurate segmentation and realistic rendering while maintaining mobile-friendly performance. Let me outline our training methodology and validation process for the hand segmentation model. Starting with data preparation, we utilized 4,800 sets from the Ego Hands dataset, split the data 5:1 for training and validation, maintained 4,000 sets for training, reserved 800 sets for validation. Our data augmentation pipeline incorporated multiple techniques: random masking, filter rotation adjustments, horizontal flip brightness and contrast modifications, RGB and HAWS file color shifts, gamma correction, strategic dropout. The training process involved 200 epochs of iteration, batch size optimization, loss function minimization. Looking at the visual results on the left, source images show diverse hand positions, ground truth masks demonstrate ideal segmentation, output results closely match the ground truth. Each training cycle generates a predictive model, which we then evaluate using minimum loss metrics validation against held out data, performance benchmarking. This rigorous approach ensured our model could handle real-world variation while maintaining computational efficiency. Let me explain the deployment process of our hand segmentation model to iOS devices and our GUI implementation. Our deployment pipeline consists of two critical paths. First, the model conversion process. We start with a PyTorch trained model. Convert it through Torch script. Transform it into Core ML format. Finally integrate it with our Swift-based ARM application. This ensures seamless operation on iOS devices. Second, our GUI implementation utilizes a layered approach. Subview layer for the segmented hand visualization. Main view layer for the primary interface. Background layer providing context. These layers combine to create the mirror rendering effect. The masking and stacking preview system precisely aligns the segmented hand. Creates realistic mirror effects. Maintains proper depth perception. Ensures smooth visual transitions. This implementation allows us to process frames in real time, maintain high visual quality, deliver responsive user feedback, create convincing mirror therapy effects. The result is a smooth, integrated experience that runs efficiently on iOS devices while maintaining the visual fidelity needed for effective therapy. In developing our latest version, we addressed a significant limitation of our previous iterations. Our primary challenge was clear: the immersive experience provided by mobile phones alone simply couldn't match the quality of professional VR helmets. To bridge this gap, we implemented a clever and cost-effective solution: cardboard support. We leveraged the R Headset Kit toolkit, which offers A low-cost approach to VR content delivery. Portable functionality. Simple smartphone integration as the display device. The beauty of this solution lies in its simplicity. Takes advantage of existing smartphone technology. Requires minimal additional hardware. Provides an immersive experience comparable to more expensive solutions. Maintains our commitment to accessibility. As shown in the testing image, users can now experience a more immersive therapeutic environment. Maintain the convenience of mobile-based therapy. Achieve better engagement with the rehabilitation process. This enhancement significantly improved the user experience while keeping our solution affordable and accessible. Let me explain how we optimized screen fluency in our latest version through advanced GPU utilization and efficient API integration. We leveraged two powerful APIs. The Metal API enables direct access to iPhone's internal GPU pipeline, rendering tasks hardware accelerated processing as shown in the utilization chart. This allows us to achieve nearly 80% GPU efficiency. The ARKit API provides built-in character segmentation model real-time processing capability, seamless integration with our system. Our architecture now features single camera input feeding into AR session ML person segmentation working alongside contour texture generation, GPU accelerated shader and frame buffer handling, separate preview paths for camera and cardboard displays. The processing pipeline splits between GPU acceleration, shader processing, frame buffering, texture handling, CPU main thread, AR session management, rendering, coordination, preview generation. This optimization resulted in significantly improved performance and smoother visual output. Let me present our latest ARMT system's complete workflow and performance metrics. The system consists of three main components. User interface. Accommodates subjects with hemiplegia. Enables real-time mirror display. Provides intuitive exercise feedback. Hardware requirements. iPhone iOS 15 Plus as the core processor. VR cardboard for immersive viewing. No additional expensive equipment needed. Processing pipeline. Human body segmentation. Texture shader processing. Frame buffering. GUI rendering. Binocular display output. Performance comparison, custom ML versus built-in ML. Frame operation time improved from 35 to 40 milliseconds to 10 to 20 milliseconds. FPS increased from 25 to 28 to 50 to 100 frames per second. All processing occurs on a single iPhone device. The key achievement here is maintaining operation time below 33 milliseconds, ensuring smooth performance above 30 FPS. This makes the therapy experience fluid and responsive, crucial for effective rehabilitation. Let me demonstrate our ARMT system in action through several key rehabilitation exercises. The system supports various therapeutic movements: tendon slip, precise tracking of subtle finger movements, clear mirroring of tendon engagement, smooth real-time response, finger flexion, accurate capture of individual finger bending, synchronized mirror display, natural movement reproduction, palm movement, full hand tracking capabilities, fluid response to palm orientation changes, consistent bilateral visualization, thumb spin, detailed thumb articulation tracking, maintenance of spatial awareness, clear visual feedback as shown in the right side images. Users can perform exercises while wearing the cardboard viewer. The split screen display provides proper stereoscopic vision. The system maintains high visual quality throughout all movements. Each exercise demonstrates the system's ability to track complex hand movements, provide immediate visual feedback, maintain consistent performance, support natural interaction. Let me outline our clinical trial design, which aimed to rigorously evaluate our system's effectiveness. Our primary objective was to conduct a comparative study between traditional mirror therapy, MOUNT, our augmented reality mirror therapy, ARMT. Study demographics: total participants, 30 healthy subjects, gender distribution, 17 male, 13 female, age profile, mean age 23.0 years, with standard deviation of 2.7 years. We established a strong collaborative framework, partnership with NCKU Rehabilitation Department, professional oversight of experimental procedures, expert assistance with statistical analysis. For objective measurement, we employed FNIRS, functional near-infrared spectroscopy, technology, real-time brain activity monitoring, quantitative assessment of neural responses. This comprehensive trial design ensures scientific rigor, data reliability, professional validation, objective comparison of treatment methods. Let me walk you through our specific evaluation methods and findings. Let me introduce our brain activity measurement methodology using functional near-infrared spectroscopy, or FNIRS. The technology, documented in Ferrari's 2012 paper in Neuroimage and Minard's 2013 work in the Journal of Biomedical Optics, provides crucial insights into neural responses during therapy. Looking at the visualization. Left, the FNIRS cap setup with multiple sensors positioned for comprehensive brain monitoring. Center, time series data showing BO2, red line, and HBR, blue line, concentration changes. Clear temporal patterns of neural activation. Error bars indicating measurement precision. The brain mapping results. Top right, activity distribution across brain regions. Bottom right, intensity mapping showing activation patterns. Color coding represents concentration changes. Red indicating increased activity. Blue showing decreased activity. This measurement approach allows us to track real-time brain responses, compare activation patterns between MOUNT and ARMT, quantify therapeutic effectiveness, validate neurological engagement. These measurements provide objective evidence of neural activation during rehabilitation exercises. Let me walk you through our clinical trial protocol design. Subject selection. We recruited healthy individuals. Key criteria: no history of neuromuscular or orthopedic conditions affecting upper extremities. Trial structure. Implemented a crossover design with 1-to-1 randomization, subjects divided into 2 initial groups. Each session consisted of 10 minutes FNIRS monitoring, 20 minutes therapy intervention. Intervention protocol. Both groups received both treatments: traditional mirror therapy, MOUNT, augmented reality mirror therapy, ARMT. Each session lasted 30 minutes, 1-week washout period between interventions. Assessment methods. 1. Pre/post testing. Evaluated upper limb functionality, compared effectiveness between interventions. 2. FNIRS monitoring. Measured prefrontal cortex activity, tracked motor cortex engagement, recorded during both intervention types. This robust design ensures unbiased comparison, control for learning effects, comprehensive data collection, scientific validity of results. Let me detail our FNIRS finger pinch intervention protocol. The experimental setup involves precise timing and measurement. Intervention cycle. Total duration, 10 minutes, alternating between 30-second rest periods, eyes closed, 30-second pinching tasks, eyes open. Measurement configuration. Right side, sensor layout monitoring the prefrontal region. Left side, monitoring motor region activity, bilateral measurement to compare mirror and motion sides. The protocol structure. 1. Rest phase. Subject closes eyes, 30-second baseline measurement, allows signal stabilization. 2. Active phase. Subject opens eyes, performs finger pinching tasks, 30-second activity measurement. Key feature. The 30-second resting blocks serve a crucial purpose, relocating the baseline of FNIRS signal, ensuring measurement accuracy, minimizing signal drift. Sensor placement. Strategic positioning over prefrontal cortex, motor region coverage, balanced bilateral monitoring. Let me outline the first set of motor tasks in our 20-minute intervention protocol. Each exercise is performed 60 repetitions. 1. Forearm pronation/supination, starting from neutral position, rotating palm down, pronation, rotating palm up, supination, full range of motion. 2. Wrist stretch/flexion, beginning with neutral wrist alignment, extension upward, flexion downward, maintaining controlled movement. 3. Finger extension/flexion, starting with relaxed hand, full finger spread and extension, complete closure and flexion, coordinated movement of all digits. 4. Thumb extension/flexion, isolated thumb movement, full extension away from palm, complete flexion toward palm, emphasis on precise control. These exercises are designed to target different muscle groups, practice varied movement patterns, maintain consistent repetition, build motor control precision. Let me introduce our second set of fine motor tasks, each performed 60 times within the 20-minute protocol. 1. Thumb and little finger opposition, a precision movement where the thumb and little finger meet, touch face to face, return to starting position, focuses on digit isolation and control. 2. Thumb rotation, circular movement of the thumb, full range circumduction, maintaining smooth motion, targets complex thumb mobility. 3. Tendon slip, progressive movement shown in 3 phases, subtle sliding of the tendon, careful control of finger position, emphasizes proprioceptive awareness. These exercises are specifically designed to Challenge fine motor coordination, develop precise digit control, enhance proprioceptive feedback, build manual dexterity. Each task targets distinct aspects of hand function while maintaining therapeutic engagement. Let me introduce our comprehensive evaluation toolkit, which encompasses 4 key assessment areas. For finger pinch manipulation, we employ the pinch holding up activity, PHUA, developed by Xu and colleagues in 2015, measures precise pinch control and strength. For finger dexterity, we utilize the Purdue Pegboard test, PPT, originated by Dr. Joseph Tiffin in 1948, evaluates fine motor control and coordination. For upper gross function, implementation of the Minnesota Manual Dexterity Test, MMDT, established by McGill in 1989, assesses broader hand and arm movement capabilities. For sensory function, application of Sims-Weinstein monofilament, SWM, test, developed in 1960, measures tactile sensitivity and perception. This battery of tests provides quantitative measurement of multiple function aspects, standardized assessment protocols, validated evaluation metrics, comprehensive functional assessment. Let me outline our revised evaluation framework, which incorporates an alternative sensory assessment. Our comprehensive testing battery consists of 1. Finger pinch assessment, FUA, pinch holding up activity, measures sustained pinch strength, evaluates controlled force application, developed through Xu's research team. 2. Manual dexterity testing, PPT, Purdue Pegboard test, refined by Dr. Tiffin, assesses fine motor skills, measures precise object manipulation. 3. Gross motor evaluation, MMDT, Minnesota Manual Dexterity Test, based on McGill's protocols, tests broader movement patterns, evaluates speed and accuracy. 4. Sensory function analysis, 2PD, 2-point discrimination, developed by David Shooter, measures tactile acuity, assesses spatial discrimination. This integrated approach allows us to capture multiple aspects of hand function, generate quantifiable data, track progress systematically, evaluate treatment effectiveness. Next part is the experiment result. Let me summarize the key findings from our comparative study. Our analysis revealed significant outcomes and functional improvements. For pinch manipulation, PHUA, significant improvement was observed only in the assisted repetitive movement therapy group. For Purdue Pegboard test, PPT, both mirror therapy and assisted repetitive movement therapy showed positive changes, while Minnesota Manual Dexterity Test, MMDT, recorded meaningful gains in both therapies. However, neither approach demonstrated significant improvement in Sims-Weinstein monofilament test, SWM, a measure of sensory function. The assisted repetitive movement therapy uniquely showed significant improvement in 2-point discrimination test, 2PD, another measure of sensory function. We used a threshold of p less than 0.05 to determine statistical significance. In our results, the symbol V indicates a significant improvement from baseline, while a dash represents no statistically significant change. A particularly noteworthy finding from the functional near-infrared spectroscopy, FNIRS, data analysis revealed highly correlated blood perfusion patterns in the prefrontal cortex. Both mirror therapy and assisted repetitive movement therapy groups displayed balanced bilateral activation, suggesting similar neurological engagement between the two methods. As for the user interface, our solution is now readily accessible through a bilingual interface, includes a quick response code for convenient access, and offers a user-friendly design that enhances usability. These findings support the potential of assisted repetitive movement therapy as an effective rehabilitation tool. Let me explain the results of our pinch holding up activity test. Looking at the force ratio data, the baseline average was 3.35 with a standard deviation of 0.64. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group demonstrated an 11% improvement, reaching 3.01 with a standard deviation of 0.56. In contrast, the mirror therapy group showed only a 1% change, ending at 3.30 with a standard deviation of 0.60. For maximal pinch strength as a percentage, the baseline started at 42.1% with a standard deviation of 13.7. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group achieved an 18% reduction, lowering it to 34.7% with a standard deviation of 11.0. Meanwhile, the mirror therapy group showed a 7% reduction, reaching 39.0% with a standard deviation of 11.9. Regarding statistical significance, the comparisons for peak force ratio and the pinch holding up activity test are as follows. Baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of 0.003, which is significant. Baseline compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.513, which is not significant. Assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.002, which is significant. For force ratio analysis, baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001, indicating high statistical significance. Baseline compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.105, which is not significant. Assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.021, which is significant. The key finding from this analysis is that the assisted repetitive movement therapy group demonstrated superior performance with significant improvements from baseline, better outcomes compared to mirror therapy, lower force ratios indicating better control, and more efficient utilization of pinch strength. Lower force ratios represent better performance, underscoring the effectiveness of assisted repetitive movement therapy in improving fine motor control. Let me present our findings from the Purdue Pegboard test, where higher scores indicate better performance. Our analysis revealed improvements across multiple domains. For the dominant hand performance, the baseline score was 14.98. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group showed a 15% improvement, while the mirror therapy group demonstrated a 6% improvement. Statistical significance was observed in all comparisons, with a p-value of less than 0.001. For the non-dominant hand performance, the baseline score was 14.75. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group achieved a 9% improvement, while the mirror therapy group showed a 1% improvement. Notably, the comparison between the two groups yielded a p-value of 0.001, indicating statistical significance. In bilateral hand coordination, the baseline score was 12.48. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group demonstrated a 13% improvement, while the mirror therapy group showed a 6% improvement. Consistent statistical significance was observed, with a p-value of less than 0.001. For the assembly task, the baseline score was 40.43. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group achieved a 15% improvement, while the mirror therapy group showed a 5% improvement. The results were strongly significant, with a p-value of less than 0.001. Key observations from the study include the following: significant effects were found in most pin insertion tasks, and both therapies showed improvements from baseline. However, the assisted repetitive movement therapy group consistently outperformed the mirror therapy group. Improvements were observed across all hand function domains, with particularly strong results in the assembly tasks. This comprehensive data highlights that the assisted repetitive movement therapy group offers superior benefits for the development of fine motor dexterity. Let me walk you through the results of the Minnesota Manual Dexterity Test, where shorter completion times indicate better performance. For the turning task, the baseline average was 48.06 seconds with a standard deviation of 5.80. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group demonstrated a 14% improvement, reducing the time to 41.42 seconds with a standard deviation of 5.12. The mirror therapy group achieved a 9% improvement, lowering the time to 43.81 seconds with a standard deviation of 6.41. In the placing task, the baseline time was 63.37 seconds with a standard deviation of 6.95. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group demonstrated an 8% improvement, reducing the time to 58.39 seconds with a standard deviation of 5.93. The mirror therapy group showed a 3% improvement, reducing the time to 61.39 seconds with a standard deviation of 6.99. Statistical analysis revealed the following results. For the placing task, baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001. Baseline compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.002. Assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001. For the turning task, baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001. Baseline compared to mirror therapy also had a p-value of less than 0.001. Assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001. The notable findings from this analysis include the fact that both interventions showed significant improvement. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group consistently outperformed the mirror therapy group, with more pronounced time reductions. All improvements achieved statistical significance with p-values of less than 0.05. This data clearly demonstrates the superior effectiveness of the assisted repetitive movement therapy group in improving gross motor function. Let me present our findings from the Sims-Weinstein monofilament test, which measures sensory function. The data shows minimal variations across all conditions. For thumb measurements, the baseline value was 2.387 with a standard deviation of 0.038. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group recorded 2.381 with a standard deviation of 0.036, while the mirror therapy group recorded 2.384 with a standard deviation of 0.037. Statistical comparisons revealed that the p-value for baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy was 0.161, for baseline compared to mirror therapy was 0.662, and for assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy was 0.662. For index finger measurements, the baseline value was 2.360 with a standard deviation of 0.139. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group recorded 2.352 with a standard deviation of 0.137, while the mirror therapy group remained at 2.360 with a standard deviation of 0.139. Statistical comparisons revealed that the p-value for baseline compared to assisted repetitive movement therapy was 0.184, for baseline compared to mirror therapy was 1.000, and for assisted repetitive movement therapy compared to mirror therapy was 0.264. The key findings indicate that no significant treatment effects were detected, as all p-values exceeded 0.05. There were no statistically significant differences between the groups, and the results were consistent across all testing conditions. Both interventions showed minimal impact on sensory function. These findings suggest that neither the assisted repetitive movement therapy nor traditional mirror therapy significantly affects basic sensory perception as measured by the Sims-Weinstein monofilament test. Let me present our findings from the two-point discrimination test, which revealed some interesting contrasts. For thumb discrimination, the baseline measurement was 3.4 with a standard deviation of 0.7. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group showed improvement, reducing the measurement to 3.1 with a standard deviation of 0.6. In contrast, the mirror therapy group showed minimal change, with a measurement of 3.3 and a standard deviation of 0.6. Statistical analysis showed that the comparison between baseline and assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of 0.017, indicating significance. The comparison between baseline and mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.601, which was not significant. The comparison between assisted repetitive movement therapy and mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.070, which was marginally significant. For the index finger, the results were even more pronounced. The baseline measurement was 3.2 with a standard deviation of 0.5. The assisted repetitive movement therapy group improved significantly, reducing the measurement to 2.6 with a standard deviation of 0.6. The mirror therapy group showed only slight change, with a measurement of 3.1 and a standard deviation of 0.6. Statistical analysis revealed that the comparison between baseline and assisted repetitive movement therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001, indicating high significance. The comparison between baseline and mirror therapy had a p-value of 0.489, which was not significant. The comparison between assisted repetitive movement therapy and mirror therapy had a p-value of less than 0.001, indicating high significance. The key finding from this analysis is that, compared to both baseline and mirror therapy, the threshold for two-point distance significantly decreased within the assisted repetitive movement therapy condition, with p-values of less than 0.05. This indicates an enhanced tactile discrimination ability under the assisted repetitive movement therapy intervention. Let me summarize the key findings from our outcome measurements, which demonstrate compelling evidence for ARMT's effectiveness. The statistical analysis reveals a striking contrast. ARMT showed significant improvements in 10 out of 12 measurements. Traditional mount only demonstrated significant changes in 5 out of 12 outcomes. ARMT showed superior results in 4 critical areas. 1. Finger pinch coordination. 2. Finger dexterity development. 3. Gross movement capabilities of upper limbs. 4. Enhanced tactile sensitivity through reduced two-point distance threshold. What makes these findings particularly noteworthy? The comprehensive nature of improvement, the consistency across different functional domains, the statistical significance of the changes, the clear advantage over traditional mount. Based on these results from healthy subjects, ARMT demonstrates greater therapeutic potential compared to traditional mirror therapy. This suggests that our augmented reality approach may offer enhanced rehabilitation benefits for future clinical applications. Would you like to examine our FNIRS results next? Let me explain our FNIRS hemoglobin oxygenation, HBO, results, which reveal interesting patterns in brain activation. We analyzed two key brain regions. Prefrontal cortex. Box plots show similar distributions for both ARMT and mount, mirror and motion sides display balanced activation, notable presence of outliers across all conditions. Motor cortex. Measurements taken from motion side, contralateral brain area, mirror side, ipsilateral brain area, similar activation patterns between interventions, balanced bilateral response observed. Key observations. 1. Considerable number of outliers present across both intervention types, all experimental conditions, different brain regions. 2. Bilateral activation. Symmetrical patterns between hemispheres, consistent across both ARMT and mount, suggest similar neural engagement patterns. 3. Statistical analysis. No significant differences between groups, no significant differences between brain regions, no significant bilateral differences, p greater than 0.05. This data suggests both ARMT and mount engage similar neural pathways, despite their different approaches. Let me detail our FNIRS blood perfusion analysis, which reveals fascinating patterns in cortical activation. Looking at the prefrontal cortex data, both ARMT and mount show similar temporal patterns. Motion side consistently demonstrates higher activation, clear temporal evolution with peak around 10 to 15 seconds. Error bars indicate consistent measurement reliability. In the motor cortex, similar waveform patterns observed. Motion side again shows stronger activation. Temporal dynamics match across both interventions. Clear response curves with defined peaks in recovery. Key findings. 1. Activation hierarchy. Motion side consistently stronger than mirror side. This pattern holds true in all circumstances, observed in both cortical regions, consistent across both interventions. 2. Correlation analysis. Remarkably high correlation, above 0.9, between left and right prefrontal regions, maintained across both intervention methods, suggests consistent neural engagement patterns. The temporal plots clearly demonstrate initial baseline, response onset, peak activation, recovery phase, consistent patterns between methods. Let me discuss three critical aspects of our FNIRS findings and their implications. First, regarding statistical comparisons, we found no significant differences between bilateral brain regions. No statistical differences emerged between ARMT and mount groups. This suggests similar neural engagement patterns across methods. Second, correlation analysis revealed highly correlated blood perfusion patterns between ARMT and mount groups. This correlation suggests both interventions engage similar neural pathways. The data indicates comparable stimulation of relevant brain areas. This finding supports the therapeutic validity of ARMT. However, we must address a limitation. We observed numerous outliers in the data. This variability occurred despite using identical equipment. Signal acquisition quality varied significantly between subjects. These variations suggest potential methodological challenges. The heat maps illustrate variable signal quality across subjects, individual differences in neural responses, consistent patterns within intervention types, complex interaction patterns between brain regions. This mixed pattern of results suggests both promise and caution. Similar neural engagement between methods is encouraging. Individual variability requires further investigation. Methodology refinement may be necessary for future studies. Next part is the conclusion of this research. Let me analyze the current market competition in mirror therapy applications. Let's examine each competitor in detail. The Mirror Box Lite application provides a non-immersive solution that simply flips half of the preview screen, offering basic functionality without advanced features. The Mirror application is also non-immersive, limited to basic screen mirroring, and does not enhance the therapeutic experience. The Mirror Box, CRPS and RSD, stroke application offers an immersive experience but suffers from low frames per second performance, flipping the entire preview and negatively impacting background visualization. The Digital Mount application adopts a non-immersive approach, relying on rectangular preview flipping with limited customization options. In contrast, our assisted repetitive movement therapy solution offers a true immersive experience with high performance, achieving up to 60 frames per second. It integrates an advanced semantic segmentation model, enabling clean separation of the hand from the background. The key competitive advantage of our solution lies in its innovative semantic approach. While other applications rely on simple screen flipping, which affects background visualization and reduces the sense of immersion, our method preserves the environmental context while isolating hand movements, significantly enhancing the therapeutic experience. Would you like to discuss our final conclusions and explore future directions? This research has developed a mobile device-based augmented reality mirror therapy software. Using semantic segmentation model rendering the mirror hand in 60 FPS. Cardboard supported for immersive experience. Compared with VR equipment, the solution is more convenient and has the potential to be widely promoted. Save about $600-700 rehabilitation cost. Whole system in one smartphone. The portable, immersive arm has a potential to being an innovative stroke telerehabilitation solution. The preliminary experiment results support our software's effectiveness in improving upper limb functionality by FUA, PPT and MMDT evaluation. The group involved with ARMT not only outperformed baseline and MOUNT in these tests, but also achieved statistically significant. From the measurement of cortex activation, it is also found that the neural activity caused by the two methods has a high similarity. However, the limitation of the study is ARMT's defect. The user must try to avoid other people appearing in the background when using it, otherwise it will cause wrong rendering. ARMT is recommended using in the simple background to prevent additional mirror phantom. The evidence of its efficacy in clinical trials is limited due to the healthy subject experiment result cannot be fully applied to actual patients. For the future works, real post-stroke subjects will be recruited to determine its differences from MOUNT. We would like to especially appreciate the assistance from Professor and outcome measurement statistic. Without your help, I'm afraid the experiment will lack reliable quantitative data. Also appreciate Professor attending this oral defense. In addition, I would like to sincerely thank the assistance from Professor's Motion Lab member for their generosity to let me operate FNIR's instrument. Finally, thanks to my distinguished advisor Professor Lin assist me in completing my research. Thanks for your attention.